I don't think we have definitive records, but as far as we can tell, no U.S. attorney has ever ended up indicted by the office he used to run, which is a situation that's a possibility for Rudy Giuliani right now, who's reportedly under investigation by the Southern District of New York after his two business associates, my favorite characters in this drama, Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, were nabbed at the airport last month with one-way tickets. Now, we know Giuliani has been in business with them. We know Giuliani's been flying around the world, serving both as the president's lawyer and a kind of shadow secretary of state, while also collecting cash and advocating on the behalf of God knows who in his foreign consulting business, a blurring of lines between public and private interests that has helped throw the Trump presidency into the worst crisis it's ever faced. So how did a man who was a federal prosecutor, the mayor of New York City, and a candidate for president turn into this? As Vera Bergengruen writes in her new cover profile of Giuliani in Time magazine, quote, over the past 18 months, Giuliani has violated the unwritten rule of American public life, that you can pursue money or political power, but not both at once. And Vera Bergengruen is here with me now. Good to see you. It's a great piece. Thank you. Let's talk about the business side. What is Rudy's business? I actually don't even understand. Like, what is the guy doing to make a living?
Right. So it's basically, if you look at a map, it's like, where's Rudy? He says he's been on over 80 countries, 150 different trips. And he's basically just leveraged his, law and order kind of brand, the same way Trump branded hotels, to just, cut down on corruption. Latin American countries hire him. Everybody hires him to, Mexico City, Bogota. They all say, come on in here, help us bring down crime. Presidential candidates hire him as a kind of just extra, brand on his side. So really, that's basically what he's done. He's made so much money doing that. Yeah.
So my question also is, so there's the Foreign Agent Registration Act, right? Mm-hmm. And that's Michael Flynn got in trouble for not registering as a foreign agent when he was taking $500,000 from Turkey. Giuliani is not registered as a foreign agent, correct?
Correct.
Do we know, honestly, do we know what governments are paying him? That is my question.
No. Well, basically, he told us, I don't have to register because I'm not lobbying U.S. officials. I'm not on the Capitol Hill lobbying, U.S. officials on behalf of foreign governments. It's really convoluted because he says he doesn't have to do that, but really he's kind of lobbying foreign officials on behalf of the U.S., on behalf of Trump. So it's like a really,
right, that's a good point.
Situation.
The New York Times read an article. This is pointed out by one of our producers a few months, or like a month ago, November 2016. He wanted to be Secretary of State, and he didn't pass the vet in the Trump White House, which is saying something. This is a headline. Rudy Giuliani's business ties viewed as a red flag for Secretary of State job. And what's remarkable is they were like, no, you can't be Secretary of State. He was like, screw it, I'll do it anyway, in like a shadow capacity.
Well, the interesting thing is he basically said, you know what, I think, they didn't want him there. But he kind of said, I think I can serve a better role on the outside. And it turns out that was really true because he had no constraints. You've got Pompeo making, $250,000 a year, and he's spending that in a month. He basically was able to have some of that power because people know he's Trump's lawyer without the rest.
But it's a petri dish is the problem, right? I mean, running around with a lot of money coming from different interests, and you don't know who they are, and you may not be reporting them while you're talking to the president. It just seems like you're bound to violate the law.
Well, that's why it's never happened before. It's a really strange situation because no one would want that on their behalf as the president of the United States.
Right, exactly.
Those situations, and he's going out there and just, talking to all these foreign leaders. And he shows up and he says, I'm a private citizen. I'm doing my business deals. I'm representing my client. And everyone's telling him, yeah, but your client is the president of the United States.
And we all know that.
Right.
I also can't tell. It's like a Russian nesting dolls of con men and marks, where I can't tell who's doing the conning and who's the mark. Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, they seem like they're Rudy's the mark for them. And then the president's a little bit of the mark for Trump, for Rudy. How do Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman end up in his circle?
Right. So, apparently they hire him for their firm, which is called Fraud Guarantee. And the reason it's called Fraud Guarantee is because the guy had committed fraud and he didn't want when people Googled his name for it to be a negative thing. So he named his company that anyway.
Yes, he cleaned out his Google search results.
Yeah, SEO for the win, right? Yeah. And so he did that. He just gets enmeshed with these two guys. But it's basically what Giuliani did with Trump, where he basically gets a lot of access because he says, I work for Trump. They get a lot of access because they say, I work for Giuliani. And they show people their phones with pictures with John Jr., with Trump. And so they get a lot of access.
They're running the exact same, junior version of Rudy Giuliani. These two guys are running, except they're now indicted and he's under investigation.
About right.
All right. Vera Bergengruen, it's a great piece. Thank you so much.
Hey,
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.